Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So, yesterday we saw the first verse that we were doing, which says Panditaha na anushochanti. Okay, so there is no sorrow for the wise people, and as I said, it's not an advice. It's not like you should not be sad. It is the wise people have no sorrow. Okay, and what is it that they see because of which they don't have sorrow is explained by Lord Krishna now. So the whole inquiry is about the nature of realities. What are the realities which are understood by the wise person, in light of which they naturally, what? Yeah, exactly. Right? It's not an advice, it's a certain fact. So the next verse is talking about what wise people see. Okay? So here the chapter 2 verse 20. So I will chant and we will chant after. Na jayate mriyate va kadaschita nayam bhutva bhavitavana bhuyaha ajo nitya shashvato yam puranaha na hanyate hanyamane sharire. Okay. You will chant after me. न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित्
न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित्
नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः
नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः
अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणः
अजो नित्यं शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणः
न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे
न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे.
So here what do they see about this Atma? Here he says Ayam. Ayam refers to Atma. Okay? So what is this Atma that the wise people understand? They understand this Atma to be na jayate mriyate va kadachit. Okay? There is never a time that Atma is born nor it dies. This is something that wise people see. Okay? Now, Nayam Bhutva Bhavita Vanabhuyaha. Okay? So that means that it is not that having come into being, then it goes and then it comes again. Even that does not take place in Atma. Then what is Atma? Ajaha, which is unborn, Nityaha, which is not subject to time, Shashvataha, Shashvataha means it is never touched by anything, and Ayam Puranaha, it is something which is ever not subject to any change and ever new. So this is the nature of Atma. So now if you just listen to this, and if the teacher just translates this, look at the dictionary meaning, and now next verse, what will you understand?
Nothing.
Nothing. Exactly. You will understand nothing. Okay? So therefore, you need a teacher who makes you see this reality about you. Otherwise, it just is something, yeah, I'm not subject to birth and death. Okay? Now, what does it really mean? What is then my nature? Okay? Now, the whole conclusion with which I live my life is what? I am a mortal. Everybody thinks my time on this earth is limited, which is based on a certain fact. Okay? What is the fact?
That you're born and you die.
The fact is the body is born and the body goes. This is a fact. You are born and you are dying is your conclusion.
Association.
Exactly. So that means the reality is body comes. Nobody is denying the fact that the body is born. Nobody is denying the fact that the body has to go one day. Okay? But because the body is born, I am born is my conclusion. Okay? And when the body goes, I go is my conclusion. Okay? Now this conclusion comes from the fact that I think I am as good as the body. So therefore, we need to examine the fact, am I as good as the body? Okay? So this is where the inquiry into nature of I begins. Okay? So I need to understand what is my relationship with the body. Am I the body, or I am somebody who has a special relationship with one body? Okay? In order to do that, Vedanta uses a methodology. Okay? There are several methodologies to make you see what is your nature. One of the methodologies that we will use now is what we call Drik, Drishya, Viveka. Drik, Drishya, Viveka is whatever is objective, there is something which I objectify, and there is one who is what? The subject which objectifies everything else. Okay? Drik and Drishya. With reference to the whole world, you don't have any confusion. Does it Drik? Is it Drik or Drishya?
The world.
The world, the table, the mountains, the rivers, is it Drik or is it Drishya? It is Drishya, right?
Yeah.
It is an object that I see. I don't have any confusion with that. Okay? Now, the fact is that whatever you observe, do you take on the characteristics of something that you observe? You never take on the characteristics of something that you observe. Okay? So therefore, now, even though compared to the mountain, this table is close to me, so that means some drishyas are far away, some drishyas are close.
Close.
Right? But because they are close, still I never take on the attributes of Drishya. Drik never takes on the attribute of Drishya. Drik is the seer, doesn't take on the attribute of what is seen by you. Okay? Now, let's come to the body. We think that the body is in which category? Drik. Right? Now, we have to see whether the body belongs to Drik or it is Drishya. Okay? The body, in fact, is nothing but, the modern, in fact, now there is so much talk I see everybody talking about that there is a convergence between what? Medical sciences and Vedanta, neurosciences and Vedanta, quantum physics and Vedanta. What Vedanta has been talking about for so many years, thousands of years, is now all the modern knowledge that we have accumulated, it all converges towards this. Matra was talking about how this vision of Vedanta is used in the West so extensively, okay, to show many things. Okay? And so let us now look at the modern sciences' help in this inquiry. Okay? What is the body? you ask any medical doctor, he is a medical doctor, body is nothing but many different cells. Okay? Now, each cell, is it I or is it not I? Not I.
Not I.
Why is it not I?
Because it is independent.
Excellent, right? So this one cell is Drishya. You actually can see it under a microscope. Okay. If it is Drishya, then many different cells which make your body what it is, does it become Druk? You keep on adding Drishyas. One cell is a Drishya, something which is seen by me. It's an object. Okay? You add many different objects. Does it become subject? No. It cannot become subject. Okay? So this is why, in fact, if you were the body are nothing but cells. Okay? And every cell that you were born with, none of those cells are right now with you. Because every 12 years, all the cells go away. And you have new cells. After 12 years, none of the cells that you had exist 12 years from now. This is why when somebody becomes a vegetarian, what do they say? After 12 years, the body becomes completely vegetarian. Because none of the cells that existed before are there now. Okay? So therefore, this is just a side information. Right? So what is something which is a fact is that the body, and my whole problem is I have taken body as Drik, is the seer, the nature of I, where actually it belongs to what? Drishya. Okay? It is an object, it keeps changing. Okay? I am very much present to know it's all the different changes that are taking place. Okay? So therefore, it is true that this body is close to me. Nobody is denying the fact that compared to all other bodies, this body is close to me. Okay? Its pains only I know. That is true. Okay? Because it is placed among all the different bodies, I have a special relationship with one body is a fact. Okay? But because I have a special relationship with one body does not make it as I. That is the error. Among all the different houses, you have a special relationship with one house. Does the house become I? Never. Among all the different cars, you have a special relationship with one car. Does the car become I? No. Similarly, among all the different bodies, it is true that you have a special relationship with only one body. So therefore, you put your I not in all the bodies, you put your I in what? Only one body, with which you have a special connection.
And I call it as my body.
And in fact, there is if you called it my body, still there will be some difference because you are different from the body.
Yeah.
Right? But what happens
Me
is
as body.
me,
As
the body.
Me the body.
I am the body.
I am the body.
Yes.
Right? As long as you continue to make this error about I am as good as the body, you take on all the limitations of body as what? Limitations of I, when in fact what Lord Krishna is saying is you in your true nature are already free from all the limitations of the body. Ashocha nanvashochastvam. Okay? You put your I in a wrong place and from there all the suffering begins. Because then how limited is the body in this whole one body you take yourself to be in this grand scheme of things? How big is this body?
Very small.
Very, very small and insignificant.
Like a cell in a body.
Exactly. Like a cell in this whole big system of the body, it is so small, it is so insignificant. Okay? So that means you start at a point where you put your eye in a body which itself is so small, and you suffer from what? All the smallness, all the limitations, all the inadequacies. And then you can't stand it. So what? Retaining your eye in the body, you try to fix the world. And when will you fix the world? There is no time you can fix the world. There is no way you can fix the world. Right? So therefore, as long as this mistake, this ignorance remains intact, that limitation that you are frantically trying to get rid of, retaining your eye in this little body, it is impossible to get rid of that. What you then need to do to get rid of this limitation that you are striving to get rid of is to know your true nature. Remove that ignorance. Because from that point of ignorance, there is no solution. Okay? Understand the body as Drishya. Okay? Drishya is something which is observed by you. What is observed by you is changing all the time. The cells are changing at every second. There is a cellular change taking place in the body.
So it's dynamic.
It is dynamic. Okay? And you, the person, the drik is independent of Drishya. Understand that. Remove that ignorance, because as long as that the ignorance remains intact, there is no solution. Okay? Now, the second sense of not only I have this sense of I in the body, where is the second sense that I have? In your subtle body, which is what you call mind.
Mind.
Okay? So, all my suffering, which is, when I say I am sad, what is it that is happening?
There is an emotion that I am experiencing.
Excellent. There is an emotion that I am experiencing, and for me, that emotion is drik or drishya?
Actually Drishya.
Excellent. Right? It is actually drishya, means it is observed by me, because before that emotion came, I was there or not? Yes. When the emotion is there, am I there or not? Yes. When the emotion goes, am I there or not? Yes. So what I am is basically distinct from the emotion. Okay? I am the drik. I am the seer of different emotions. Now, what is the nature of mistake that I have made? That which is drishya is taken as drik. I don't say I observe this emotion which comes and goes. I say I am the emotion. If you are the emotion, that emotion will stick with you for rest of your life. If that is your intrinsic nature, it cannot go.
I will say I am depressed.
Exactly. I say I am depressed based on what? Series of thoughts. That in fact every thought that you have lasts for how long? Seconds. Right?
Moments.
It lasts for seconds. Right? Still, why do you think you are depressed for 1 year? Because you have series of thoughts, right? And you connect one thought with the other, and you get totally identified with this series of thoughts which are actually just coming and going. And you build one whole big story around those thoughts. And you take them as I. Okay? So what Lord Krishna is saying is, the mind has emotions. Emotions will be there. Human mind is programmed to have different emotions. Don't fight this programming. As a human being, you will have range of emotions, happiness, sadness, fears, anger, it's all there. Okay? That is a human capacity. Okay? And imagine that somebody comes to you and says that I am getting married, and you're like, no reaction because you are so-called wise person. And somebody says somebody died and you're like a stone because I'm supposed to have no reaction. Are you a wise person? You're a stoned person.
That's right. That's right.
So therefore, this is when different situations occur in life, the emotional the responses have to differ. We are not talking about jading the mind. Mind cannot be jaded. This is reality. Mind is variable and it will change according to the external stimuli. Okay? Who are you? Are you the mind which is variable, which are constantly changing, or are you the observer of all the different thoughts which are taking place? Who are you?
Observer.
You are the observer, because before the observation of any given thought takes place, you are very much there. After that thought goes, you are very much there. Okay? And you are not carrying the load of everything that you have thought of with you right now. Your mind is completely free from everything that you have thought of from now. What? From your birth till now. Right now, it is free. Okay? So that means you, the drik, never takes on the attribute of the mind. Because mind is nothing but thoughts, and the thoughts are variable, they come and they go. As long as you put your eye in the mind, which is changing all the time, okay, and which is responding to different situations, and its nature is to change, and then you think that I am as good as the mind, and you want to make it still, you're on a wrong track. The whole starting point is an error, because your eye is placed in a wrong place and you're trying to fix, whereas actually you are already free. The drik, as we saw the logic, never suffers from the attributes of Drishya. Mind is close to you is a fact. Only you see your thoughts, you don't see somebody else's thoughts. Fact. True. Just because it is close to you and you have a special relationship with one mind does not make it into I. That you have a special relationship with one mind is a fact. Okay? Yeah, I only feel my emotions. I don't feel the emotions of everybody else. I can infer them, but I don't feel them. It's a fact. Okay? But because it is placed very close to me, what is the nature of mistake that I make? I think that it is I. Okay? So therefore, as long as I remain with this mistake, what if my I is in the physical body and the mind, what is my conclusion? I am born and I will die one day. With this conclusion about myself, okay, there is no way to get rid of fear. Mortality poses a big fear. Okay? You cannot, there was a nice play of Mahabharata that I saw at NCPA. It was actually funny, but there was one thing which was asked. Somebody is asking Yudhishthira, what is the greatest wonder in life? Okay? And he says, we all know that what? We are mortals. I mean, as long as you put your eye in your body and mind, you are a mortal. Okay? But we live as though we are always going to be there. He says this is the greatest wonder. Yudhishthira answers. Okay. We live as though we are always going to be around because actually our nature is immortal. Okay? The mistake that I make is what? Unacceptable to me deep inside. Because I have taken my I as body and mind, which is mortal. I cannot stand mortality. All my attempt is to what? Get rid of this mortality. How do I try to get rid of this mortality? By prolonging the life of my body. How long can I prolong my life? How long? From 80 to 100 years with all this technology that we have and all these amazing discoveries, medical sciences and all. How much more? 15 years more, 20 years more? In a countless flow of time, what is that existence? As drop as ever. Okay? So therefore, this mistake that we make is a huge mistake. As long as we don't correct this mistake, there is no way you can get rid of fears. Now thinking that I am this little individual, then I'm stuck with what? Feeling good about myself. And for feeling good about myself, what do I want to do? Fix the universe according to what I think is right. What is my capacity to fix the universe according to my wishes? Insignificant. Then I'm always dissatisfied because I play God. Then I cannot fix. What happens?
Frustration.
Frustration, anger, depression, sadness. You set yourself one mistake and there are compounded mistakes. Chain of repercussions.
But all these repercussions are to the mind only, not to you.
Exactly. So that's why you need, as long as that mind is in ignorance, all this is unavoidable. If you want to remove all this, where do? Exactly what you are saying. Find out what is your relationship with the mind. Exactly. If you understand that this is all at the level of mind, which is taken as I suffer from limitation of the mind, then I cannot stand that limitation. I try to get rid of that limitation through what? Trying to make myself immortal, to make somebody else that I love immortal, to fix the situations. What happens? One error and then there are compounded errors and compounded repercussions. You cannot say, oh, I'm not interested in knowing the reality, let me just fix the world. It's impossible. You see that? You need to find out the main source of the error and you need to what? Remove it. Yeah, you have to remove that. Because everything else stems from there. Unless you identify what is the real cause and look at the root cause and correct that mistake, there is no solution. Okay? This is why Lord Krishna has to, it's a very, very fundamental mistake that we make. That's why you need the wisdom of Shastras, who will tell you who you are. It is not just, oh, don't be sad. That would be like such a simplistic kind of a thing. It is showing your true nature. Okay? So, na jayate mriyate va kadachit. There is never, bodies come and go, okay? But Atma, the Drik, the seer, does not come and go along with the bodies. Then you need to ask one more question. Up to now, I lived thinking what? I am the physical body, I am the mind. Now here, you also need to understand that generally we think that the mind is nothing but emotions. Is it true?
No.
No. Mind has many different functions. Okay? One of the functions is emotion, which is what we call manas. Okay? There is the other function of the mind, which is what we call buddhi. What is buddhi? Buddhi in English you call it intellect. Okay? What is intellect? What is buddhi? Buddhi is when you go to a class of physics or mathematics and when somebody is teaching you equations, are you using your emoting mind? No. You are using your cognitive capacity.
Yeah.
Okay? So that means the mind is not only emotion, it also
cognition.
constitutes cognition. Okay? When you try to look in, when you study biology, when you go to school, when you study different subject matters, what is your attempt? Your attempt is, the teacher is teaching you something and you are trying to what? Capture what the teacher is saying accurately. At the end of the semester, when the teacher gives an exam, the teacher is asking a few questions a little bit tilted to assess how much you have really understood of what he or she is talking about. That is, what is he testing? Your intellect. Okay? So this is what we call, the mind has a different mode, which is buddhi. Okay? Even buddhi is something which is what? From now, from the birth to now, how many different things you have learned? So many different things. So it's also what? Variable. One class for 1 hour you study physics, next class chemistry, third class what? Biology, fourth class mathematics, fifth class history. So that means your cognitive capacity is what? Constantly changing to capture different subject matters. Okay, that is also variable. Then, not only the mind, the in Sanskrit, this whole is called Antakarana. Karana means an instrument, and it is internal instrument that is given to you. Okay? So that in Antakarana, the internal instrument has all these different capacities. Manas, the emoting mind, buddhi, which is the cognitive mind. Then there is another very important function, which is what we call chitta, is memory. Okay? Imagine that you had emoting mind and you have cognitive mind, but if you did not have memory, you can't learn anything, because the minute you understand something, you forget it. Every second will be what? A new second. No learning can take place, no anything can take place. Okay. Memory is a very important function which what? Puts my all experiences together and gives as though continuity in what? Something which is changing all the time.
Memory creates that continuity.
Exactly. Memory creates the seeming continuity. Seeming continuity. Okay. So therefore, that is also something that you use. When you go to exam, what do you want to do? You want to retrieve from your memory whatever is gathered there, right? Sometimes you are successful, sometimes you are not so successful. If you suffer from Alzheimer, what happens? That whole faculty of memory is lost. People forget how to open the door and how to close the door. Are you there or not? When the memory goes, you are there or not? Yeah. If memory was you, when it goes, you will go.
Memory is also Drishya.
No, memory is also Drishya. we live thinking memory is I, emotions are I, the cognitive capacity is I. What Vedanta is saying is all these are variable, they are Drishya. There is this fourth mode of Antakarana, which is what we call Ahankara. Okay. What is this Ahankara? In English, when we use the word Ahankara, we translate it as ego. No, which is not the case. Okay? Ego has a connotation that it is something which is bad. Right? You should not have ego. Everybody, I want to be egoless. Right? In Sanskrit, when we use the word, or in Vedanta, when we use the word Ahankara, it only means Kara. Aham is I, and Kara means sense of I.
Sense of I. The Akara.
Exactly. It takes on the form of I. Excellent. Okay. So, what is this Ahankara? If you want to translate what we say, I sense. It's not really I. It is this I sense.
Self sense.
Yes. Sense of self.
Sense of self.
Yes. Sense of self. So that means it is also part of what we call Antakarana. The I sense that I have is also variable. Okay. How come? Because this I sense that I have, when my mind is sad, I don't just experience the sadness. What do I say? I am sad. So that means my I sense gets connected to the emotions. And the emotions vary, and then what happens? My I sense keeps varying. One day I'm happy, next day I'm sad, third day I'm jealous, fourth day I'm feeling low, fifth day I'm feeling high.
And sometimes I will attach it to situations.
Exactly. Because situations vary, mind will vary, your I sense keeps getting connected to your mind and keeps on loading your I with all these different variable things. And there is no end to it. Okay.
But all these misconceptions are to the mind, not to I.
No.
Are we trying to change the mind or I?
No, I. What we are trying to do is to discover what is the nature of I. Okay? What is the nature of problem is the attributes of mind are taken as the attributes of I. So what we are trying to do is distinguish between what belongs to mind and what belongs to I. Okay? So in order to understand, I understand that I am not the mind, but I also need to know what is the mind. So what we are trying to see is, mind is not just one emotive mind, it is all these different functions. We are trying to see that so that I make sure that I don't put my I in any of these functions. Right? Otherwise what happens is, you just say I am not the emotions, but you continue to what? Identify with your buddhi as I. So I have to show you that even buddhi belongs to mind and not to I. Then you may think that this memory which gives you that seeming continuity is I. So I have to show you that also belongs to the mind, which is variable. Then your I sense, which is Ahankara, is also part of the mind. You see what I mean?
Actually, you are teaching us to go from being a traveler to being a driver.
Perfect. Who is the driver? We still haven't discovered. First, right? So therefore, the Ahankara that I think I am is also what? The mind. Right? In the mind, there is this I thought which gets connected to what? Emotions. Different emotions occur, and what do I say? I am happy, I am sad, whatever that emotion is, my I sense gets connected to that emotion. Okay? Whatever buddhi is understanding, what happens? My I gets connected to different buddhis. When I can understand things accurately, what do I say? I'm intelligent. So that means my I sense gets connected to my buddhi. My I sense also gets connected to my memory. That's why not only I have memory of childhood, which is a picture memory, what do I say? When I was young, I was doing that. Okay? So this fourth function of the mind, which is Ahankara, is the one that is what we think this is who I am. Which is variable, changing all the time. In keeping with what? The conditions of my emotive mind, my cognitive mind, my memories, different conditions of my physical body. This constitutes my I sense. And that I sense, even though it is variable, it seems to be what? One fixed entity. Why? Because the design is such that it is very intricately connected to the body and different conditions of the mind. That's why it keeps fooling us. I think that my I is this entity, what we call Ahankara. But as you very rightly said, that Ahankara is one of the functions of the mind. So this is the mistake. Okay? Now if all these are the functions of mind and I am Drik, the observer of variable change even in my I sense. Right? One day I feel I'm very happy, next day I feel, oh, I'm totally, I'm down. Even that is changing. Who am I? I am the observer of different conditions of what? My mind, my buddhi, my intellect, my I sense. My I sense keeps on undergoing change. Nobody has a fixed I sense. In one day, you can load your eye with so many different things based on what happens. Morning is different, afternoon is different, evening is different. You have hundreds of notions about I, which are based on which function? Ahankara. Right? Ahankara changes. Ahankara has to change. That is how the mind is made. Okay? Emotions have to change. There is sanity in changing of emotions. The cognitive capacities, depending upon what you are learning, has to change. The memories have to change. The I sense connected to all this has to change. This is how the mind is made. I am all this is your conclusion. What Lord Krishna says is, all this is there. It is Drishya, it is not Drik. It is variable, it is changing all the time. Who are you? You are Drik. Drik means the seer of these variable conditions. If you are the seer, which of the different conditions of your body, different conditions of your mind, it's different modes of thinking, you are the seer of what? The entire world, which includes planets, galaxies, rivers, mountains, trees, table, everything that is known to you. The Drik is free from anything which is seen by the Drik. Okay? You are free from the conditions of your physical body and your very mind and everything else. If you are free from everything else, what is your nature? That is the next question. Right? Up to now, what did Lord Krishna do? Where you thought your I was, it freed it by saying this is not I. It actually belongs to Drishya category. It's something which is seen by you. Okay? That doesn't automatically answer the question, what is the nature of Druk?
Correct.
So the next line says, what is the nature of Druk? It says, Ajaha Nityaha. Ajaha means it is unborn. Okay? What is the nature of this Druk? This I am, which is the Druk. Do you need Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita to tell you you are? No. You don't need, before you came to know Upanishad, before even you heard the name Upanishad or Vedanta or Gita, you already know I am. Right? You don't need Gita and Upanishad to tell you Atma is. Atma is the only thing in this universe which is what we call self-evident. It is something which is known by you without what? Using your eyes, using your nose, you know I am. Because I am, I use all these different faculties that I have. Okay? So this is where we call Atma as Swataha Siddhaha. Swataha Siddha means self-evident. About this self-evident Atma, what is the problem? I have mixed it up with something that I am not. If I have made that mistake, how can I correct that mistake? I need a teaching which helps me see what is what. So this is where we say the teaching, Gita and Upanishads are meant for you to see yourself in a true light. You are there. But what is the nature of problem? You have made a mistake about who you are and you have put your I in something which is not I. What is not I? The body, mind, sense, complex.
I feel I didn't make the mistake. I was born with
Exactly.
the mistake.
Everybody is born with that connection. That connection leads to universal mistake. For example, that's a very good example. Okay? We are born with a perception of flat earth. Okay? Based on that perception, we make a conclusion. What is a conclusion? We are not born with a conclusion. We are born with a perception. We are born with a perception which is a flat earth. What do we conclude? The earth is flat. Then somebody who's very intuitive or who is inquiring, who can see something more, begins to question this assumption.
So that could only be proved when you go outside of that.
So there, in this, there is a proof where, in fact, even before they actually traveled, they could know it. It's not that you have to always go out and observe and only then. What happened is, he was just looking at one ship and the ship disappeared. So that triggered an inquiry in him that if the earth is flat, how come it disappears? Right? I should be able to see the clear horizon on and on and on. And that's what triggered the inquiry. Okay? And what he figured out is what? That the earth is not flat, it is a globe. When you corrected this mistake, so what did you, are you changing the perception? Are you changing the perception? The minute you begin to see that the earth is round, the minute you understand, do you see a curvature? You don't see a curvature. What are you doing?
You're changing the conclusion.
Exactly. You are changing the conclusion.
Still, I don't know how people live on the other side.
No. So let's see. What here is, what you are doing is, you know I am. You have made a mistake about what is variable, what is changing all the time, and you're the observer. You have taken what? The variable changing as I, where in fact you're the observer. Okay? What Upanishads do? They make you see who you are and who you are not. About this self-evident I, it helps you to correct the mistake so that you can see yourself in a true light. Okay? So therefore, Upanishad has to make you see now, turn your attention to who is this observer? Who is this observer who observes different conditions of the body and different conditions of the mind? Oh my God. So,
Little bit. Yeah, do you want water?
Warm water.
so now we enter into the nature of observers. Okay. What is the nature of observer? It says it is Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. Ajaha means unborn. Okay. What is this nature of observer? The observer is who is observed. In order for you to observe different thoughts of your mind, that chit is what? The awareness, or what we call consciousness. In Sanskrit we call it chit. In order for you to know different conditions of your body, what? Awareness is something which is necessary. In order for you to know different conditions of the mind, awareness is something which is necessary. So what Upanishads say is, you are that awareness. The awareness is the observer. It does not take on the characteristic of observed. Thought comes, awareness is. This is what Surya does in meditation class. Make you see that come in touch with that awareness which is always present.
Yes.
The thought goes, awareness is. Next thought comes, awareness is. Next thought goes, awareness is. Awareness is what we call pratibodha viditam matam. It is invariable in all the changing things. What is changing is the mind, the conditions of the body, that is, everything is changing. There is one unchanging, invariable presence, which is what you are, which is what we call chit, awareness. Now, the next question is, how many awareness are there? Right?
How
Because
many chitta are there?
yeah, exactly. How many, not chittam, the memory, how many awareness, which is chit, are there? Okay? It seems as though as many bodies there are that many awarenesses. It seems like that. Right? Because let's say, I say, please understand, I say I am awareness, which is independent of my body and mind. Anand says he is awareness, which is independent of his body and mind. Vinod says I am awareness, which is independent of my body and mind. How many awarenesses are there?
As many people as there are.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. So now we have two totally extreme opinions. Manjula says, as many bodies there are that many awareness. Anand says there is only one awareness. So now, no, let's not create words, because Ishvara and all we haven't even talked about. Please stay with what you know, because there is this whole unfoldment which is not creating new ideas. Just stay and try to understand what Upanishads are talking about.
Wonderful.
Okay. Now let's examine. Manjula says many, as many bodies there are that many awareness, which is what we call many different pockets of awareness. Right?
Yeah.
Anand says there is only one awareness. So now, Manjula, tell me why you think there are many awarenesses.
Because my awareness may not be the same as your awareness.
Okay.
Because I still have not reached the stage where I can identify my awareness
What
with yours.
what you are
and call
saying
it
is
one.
your Ahankara may not be the same as my Ahankara.
Exactly.
Not awareness.
Exactly.
Okay.
Excellent. Excellent. Your Ahankara, that I
Sense
sense,
of I.
which is connected to your memory, to your manas, to your chittam, is different from his. We are not arguing there. His is different from mine. We are not arguing there. But which attribute you will give to your awareness to say it is different from his awareness?
I don't know my awareness.
So that means what I am saying is, if you, what I said is your druk, which never takes on the attributes of drishya,
Okay.
you see, use what I am saying to your understanding.
So there is only one drug.
Yeah. So that means there are many bodies, no doubt. There are many minds which are connected to one given body, no doubt. But there is only one awareness, which is what? Through each body and mind. Because your awareness and his awareness and my awareness, in order for them to be different, I have to say that my awareness has this characteristic, which then distinguishes it from your awareness. All the characteristics, where do they belong? As he says, it belongs to Drishya. Okay? So this is where we say that Chit is what we call, it is, don't conclude that if I am not the body, mind, sense complex, I don't exist. Sat, it is there, it is consciousness, and that is Anantam. Anantam means it has no boundaries, it has no limitation. Atma is Ajaha. Okay? Now, let us, how do you understand the fact that this awareness is one undivided whole, okay, which is as though appearing as what? Divided. Okay? In order to show you, to facilitate your understanding, there is an example given by the Upanishads. Okay? The example is the following. Okay? There is this what we call glass space. This is glass space, that is bottle space, that is jug space, flask space. How many spaces are there? One. Who said one? Yes, exactly. There is only one undivided space which appears to be confined to this glass. And this seems to be one space. This seems to be what? The second space. That seems to be what? Third space. That seems to be what? Fourth space. In reality, how many spaces are there? One undivided space. Okay? Does the glass divide the space? It never divides the space. It exists in space. It is pervaded by space. It does not break the space. From one standpoint, you can say this is inside space and this is outside space. But in reality, is there inside space and outside space? No.
So the glass exists in
In
the
space. Exactly.
So perceptions.
It's a perception. Exactly. A perception is a setup for a mistake. right? Through inquiry, you undo this mistake. Vedanta helps you to undertake this inquiry. Okay? Wise people have used Vedanta and Gita to correct this mistake. What is their I now? When the body is born, this glass is born, what? There is an as though confinement of space. When the glass is destroyed, the space as though frees itself. While the glass is there, what happens? The space as though feels confined, but in reality, space, has it ever come into being when the glass was born? No.
It was there and it will be there.
Excellent. It was always there. Before the glass came, space was always there. While the glass is there, space is always there. Once the glass is gone, space is always going to be there. Come back to awareness in body. Body is born.
So we'll say that space will remain forever, shapes will vary.
Excellent. Right? There are only seeming shapes.
Seeming
Because
shapes.
actually this space does not even have those shapes.
Yeah,
It's free from that.
that's right.
There is a perception. And that perception is a setup. Right? So therefore, now, ajaha. He says, ajaha nityaha. Ajaha means it is unborn. The body comes into being, awareness, like space, is always there. Now, with the body coming into being, what happens? Awareness, as though, takes the shape, as he is saying, of the body, without actually ever taking the shape. Okay? When the body goes, what happens?
Awareness remains.
Awareness remains, then as though shape is gone.
Just
Next
came
body
and
comes,
went.
it as though takes on that body. You see what I mean? There are billions of bodies of the past, present and future. None of those bodies displace awareness.
So it is Nitya.
It is very good. Okay? So it is ajaha, it is not born, it is what he's saying, it is nityaha. Okay? It is something which does not come and go. It is the invariable presence within which all the variables come and go. And awareness as though takes different shapes and forms without ever being confined to it. Okay? Nityaha. Now, in order to understand Nityaha, we also need to see that let's look at not only human body, let's look at the body of a bird, body of an animal, body of a reptile. There is also what? Physical body, which is nothing but cells. There is a mind, which also is what? Very rudimentary mind, but it is variable. Then there is what? The invariable. Please don't think that it's only human beings. Right? There is this I, which is what?
That self-sense.
Awareness. Exactly. That awareness also what? Gets confined to different bodies, not just human bodies. Bodies of the birds, bodies of the aquatic creatures, bodies of everything. Just like this space, how many objects are there in this universe?
Trillions.
Infinite objects.
Infinite.
And the space keeps on taking shape as though shape of this infinite number of objects. In fact, it is one undivided space. Okay? Now, so that means the physical bodies are different. Let's look at this space, right? The physical bodies, the physical shapes seem to be different. What is inside the glass varies. In this there is water, in this there is tea, in that there is coffee, in that there is juice. All that is different. This is equivalent to mind. But the space, while pervading everything, does it get affected by either the physical body or what is inside the glass? It never gets touched by what is seeming to confine it and what is inside the glass. It is always free. This awareness, which has no dimensions, as though gets confined to what? All the different possible bodies. Not just human bodies. All the birds, all the aquatic creatures, all the reptiles, everything. Living now. Let us look now, living now, in the past and in the future. This is why he says it is Nitya. Every form that comes into being as though confines awareness. And when that goes, what? It as though frees. Right? This I, which is awareness, is available to you where? In your buddhi as self-evident I, which observes different conditions of the body and mind. This is the only place awareness is available to you. Vedanta makes you see that this awareness that is available to you in your buddhi as drik is actually everywhere. It is unaffected by anything. Okay? Ajaha, nityaha, shashvataha. Okay? Shashvataha means it does not undergo any change. What undergoes change is Drishya. What is seen, what is an object of awareness constantly undergoes change. Okay? Every object which is within time and space is variable. Okay? By the time that I finish these words, my body has undergone change, your body has undergone change, his body, your mind has undergone change. Everything is constantly under flux. The time and space within which the objects exist, it also what? Changes. Time t1 is different from time t2. By the time I have even say it, the time has gone. Okay, so that means that what is Drishya is constantly changing. Drishya includes not only objects, but it includes what? The time and space within which all the objects exist. What is the awareness? Is drik. It is what? Different, it is distinct from Drishya. All the changes are taking place in where? Drishya. Time, which is observed by me, space, which is observed by me, every object which exists in time and space is observed by me. The body, which is my body, is observed by me. My mind, which is observed by me. At that anything which is observed by me is constantly changing. There is only one unchanging reality, which is awareness. It does not undergo any modification. Shashvataha. Yes? So Shashvataha Puranaha. Puranaha is a very interesting word. It says it's ever new. Okay? Now, what does it really mean? Okay? So, in order to really understand the meaning of Puranaha, you now, Upanishads ask you to move one step further in your inquiry. You think that the inquiry is over, it asks you to move one step further. Okay? We have created two divisions. One is Drik and the other one is Drishya. Drishya includes time, space and every object within time, space of the past, present and future. What we said is all this is changing all the time. Drik, the awareness, seems to be pervading everything as though takes on the forms that it is pervading. Actually it is unchanging. Yes?
Yes.
It is never affected by anything which is Drishya. We saw that? Now, Upanishads ask us to go one step further in our inquiry and say, are there really two categories? Drik and Drishya?
Oh,
Right? Because then there will be two things. One is awareness and everything is what? Everything else.
Yes.
Time, space and objects. Then it says, now look at the relationship between Drik and Drishya. Are they two independent realities? In order to inquire into the relationship between Drik and Drishya, Vedanta makes you see a certain relationship. The relationship is that of Satyam and Mithya. Okay? Satyam is defined as that which exists independently. Mithya is defined as that which has dependent existence. Mithya does not mean false. It does not mean illusion. It does not mean unreal. It only means that which has a dependent reality. Okay? Now, let us look at Drishya now. Start with table. Okay? This is which category? Drishya category, right? Table belongs to which category? Drishya category. Okay? Now, if I ask you, what is this object, what will you tell me?
It's a table.
It's a table. Ah, okay. Now, Manjula says it is table and Anna says it is wood. Table and wood are not synonyms. Right? So therefore, who is right?
Both.
Both are right, but both cannot be equally right.
Right.
Both are right, true, but they cannot be equally right. Right? Who is more right?
yeah, that also depends. I would say the word is right.
Very good. Why do you say the answer is right? So tell me why.
Because element.
That's the basic.
Basic element.
Okay. What
It's
Jaya
what-
says, go ahead.
No, we give the name table, but it's wood, and it
Excellent.
could be used as anything else too.
Excellent. Okay. What Jaya says is that, of course, Manjula is right, because there is this shape which wood is in, and we call it table, because when the wood takes that form, we call it a chair. True. Okay? But this table, if it had an independent reality, right, then when you take out the wood, it should still exist. Does it? Because if Anna says, I think it's wood and you think it's table, let me take my wood and you take the table. What you would be left with?
Space. Free space. An illusionary table.
Exactly. Right? So therefore, both are true. We are not saying you are wrong. What we are saying is, Anna is a little bit more right, because there is relationship of what you call Satyam and Mithya. There are no two objects here. One is wood and the second is table. There is only one, which is wood. The wood, then why do we have a name called table? Because that wood does have a shape. And that means there is a shape which has a specific name and it serves a given function. Nama, Rupa is true.
It's wood in the shape of a table.
Exactly. It is wood in shape of the table. The table entirely depends upon wood for its existence, whereas wood, does it depend upon table for its existence? No. This is what she is saying. In fact, right now, if I call a carpenter and then I take out a given part of wood and I can make a totally different shape, it is independent of the table. Okay? So therefore, table is what we call dependent reality, Mithya, because it entirely depends upon wood for its existence, but wood with reference to the table is Satyam, because it is independently existing. Now, understand one thing. Please understand, because we now have to, the Vedanta does not say wood is the reality, right? It says something else, right? So, understand the relationship between Satyam and Mithya. Taking wood and table. Table, while the wood, while pervading the table, does it ever take on the characteristic of table?
There is no independent characteristics for table.
Excellent. That means the table has height, it has width, it has dimensions. Wood, while pervading that, is it confined to those dimensions? No. Okay. This is the relationship between Satyam and Mithya. Satyam, pervading Mithya, is free from characteristics of Mithya. This is what we call transcendence. We are not talking about transcendence as something which is beyond and away from anything. Pervading it, it is free from it. Satyam, pervading Mithya, it is free from characteristic of Mithya. Okay?
Okay.
This is a relationship that remains constant. Now, the next question is, okay, now table is Mithya, wood for the time being is Satyam. Is wood really Satyam? No. Does it have dependent reality or an independent reality?
Tree.
Exactly. So itself depends entirely upon tree for its existence. So what we understood initially as Satyam now becomes what? Mithya.
What is Satyam?
Excellent, excellent Manjula, right? The entire Drishya category collapses. Wonderful, okay? So, this wood now, which I thought with reference to table is Satyam, becomes Mithya. Because it entirely depends upon tree for its existence. Tree gives life to wood. Without tree, there is no wood. Okay? Now, is the tree Satyam? No.
It's born, grows and dies.
Yeah. Tree itself depends upon what for its existence? Huh?
On the earth.
On the earth, if you are a biologist.
So all the Pancha Mahabhuta, I mean,
Yeah.
elements.
All
Yeah.
5 elements.
All
All
five
the five.
elements.
If you take Vedic model, 5 elements.
5 elements.
Panchbhuta.
Panchamahabhuta. Okay, so therefore, tree itself is mithya,
Pancha Mahabhuta.
and Panchamahabhuta becomes Satyam.
Okay.
Right? Now, you take one of the Panchamahabhuta, which is, let's say, water.
Water.
What is water? What does it depend upon?
H2O.
H2O. Atoms. Water itself, you take out 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. Show me where is water.
Ceases to exist.
So then atoms become the independent.
Exactly. Right? Now, that means, please understand. You started with table, simple, our little table,
Blended
which
with
belongs
atoms.
to, yeah, and you land in atoms.
Quantum physics.
Quantum physics.
physics.
Quantum physics. The whole world is mithya. Now, you apply what? Atoms. Atoms depend upon what?
Electrons.
Exactly. You take out electrons, neutrons, and show me where the atom is. Right? So therefore...
Finally you come to God's particles.
Exactly.
Right.
Because they remain, no? At the
Yeah. So therefore, what in fact, at the quantum physics level, what happens is, there are no longer any, what? Objects. No tangible objects anymore. Okay.
Which means space.
Exactly. Right? There are no tangible objects. In fact, the latest in the quantum physics is that it's not even latest, it's been there for quite some time. Okay? That whether that one thing acts as a particle or a wave depends upon what? The intention of the observer.
Light.
Yeah, if you want to measure the mass, it behaves like a particle. If you want to measure the speed, motion, it behaves like a wave.
The string theory.
So that means, this is a string theory. Okay? So this is what it means is, ultimately, there is no one tangible object, it is just nothing but concept. The thing that we think that this whole Drishya universe is all very real, it's all very tangible. Upanishads thousands of years ago said world is mithya. Mithya means it has a dependent existence. One thing depends upon the other, then it depends upon the other, then it depends upon the other, then it depends upon the other. So you start with wood, you take the sun, you take the moon.
But they weren't specifically talking about the, I mean,
But anyway, right
I mean the
now,
concept was that, but specifically they didn't mention, right, that
what
it
they
all
are
comes
talking
down
about,
to-
the whole Drishya category is mithya.
They got it right. I mean, I
Yeah,
know
they got
this
it
is
right. No, but in fact, we know more even now. They are coming to us to even find the final things that they haven't been able to find. Right? So that what we are not using quantum physics to give validity to Vedanta. What we are saying is what Vedanta has been saying for so many years. All these discoveries are totally converging with what it says. Okay? But what it says is more than what quantum physics says. Right? Because quantum physics is not looking at Drik. It is only looking at Drishya and saying that it is nothing but atoms and particles. What we are saying is, as you will see, something more than what quantum physics says. We are saying that there is a Druk which is independent of Drishya.
It is all pervading.
It is all pervading,
pervading.
right? Drishya is Mithya, it has a dependent reality. Then the final question is, if it has a dependent reality, then it depends upon what? We are solving the whole equation. Right? So therefore, this Drishya category, you take table or you take any object in the world.
You can break it down.
You can break it down to atoms, particles, concepts. Right? So that means this whole universe which constitutes so many different objects which we think are real are actually nothing but concepts. Okay? Then Drishya is become what? Just concepts.
Yep.
Now you have to complete the whole inquiry, you need to ask one more question. Drik is awareness. Drishya is nothing but, it's mithya, it is nothing but concepts. What is the relationship between Drik and Drishya? Awareness and concepts. That we will see in the next class.
Wow. Wow.
While you are saying it, I thought we should hear it one more time. Maybe we had to ask the Swamiji to talk about that. So, because for it to get in,
Yeah,
this is
what,
tough.
but this is all based on realities. It is not, I'm not telling you,
It's
oh,
very,
you
very
should-
logical.
It's very logical.
Very logical.
This is the beauty of our Shastra. They are incredible. They are not ordinary. Don't reduce them to some nonsense ideas. Okay. We will do Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.